To enable that to happen, we need to sort of look at leadership, and we need to look at some of the behaviors that are necessary by leaders. And I'm going to cover one or two of these as we talk about leadership. So traditional leadership tends to be top-down command and control, or very centralized, people in the middle telling everybody else what to do. But some of the evolving and emerging leadership styles are more decentralized, and what I'm talking about, which is distributed leadership, which is where we still have centralized coordination, but we have distributed decision-making. But that requires some new leadership techniques and skills and behaviors to achieve. One of the most important laws in all this is Conways Law. Melvin Conway, still alive, is still you can still find his original paper. And when Fred Brooks wrote a very famous book called The Mythical Man Month about just adding more people to a project that was late, made it later, there's some science around why that happens. Melvin Conway, he described Melvin Conway's science work as Conway's Law. And basically, if you increase the decision-making structures in your organization, and decisions will take longer to be made. So distributed leadership distributes that decision-making to avoid the problems with a large hierarchy. And my message is to stop managing people and manage work instead. And leaders have to adapt, because if you're moving away from a hierarchical organization to a more team-based structure, using some of the agile techniques, then leadership have to change as well. Because if you remain in a command and control structure, then what will happen is you'll prevent self-organization and these emergent outcomes. So you need to be focusing more on the vision and building an engaging vision to deliver the intent of what you want to happen, so teams can show you how they can achieve it. You need to cultivate psychological safety, which is the ability of employees to speak out and say no when they know something is wrong. And we need to have leaders sharing a mental model. I work with a lot of executives, and quite often I find that executives are in silos and they call themselves a leadership team, but they rarely actually work with each other and collaborate with each other to obtain flow across the organization. So on this topic of psychological safety, this is Dr. Amy Edmondson. She's the Professor Novartis at Harvard Business School in the US, and she's written some seminal work, and I strongly encourage everybody to read the book, The Fearless Organization. And she describes the role of leaders to actually accomplish the things we actually want to do. Psychological safety is probably going to be one of the most important things you need to improve in your organization if you want to empower the employees to actually make real decisions and to be able to challenge managers and leaders without fear of being punished in some way or not promoted or just ignored. And I've suffered those things over the years. These are real behaviors in organizations. One of the ways we do this is repurpose management. There is a technique called boundary spanning, or the boundary spanner, and it's a functional leadership role. It's where we take the middle management who are finding they've got less to do. They're focused on telling people what to do and getting reports and KPIs. What we actually want is those managers operating between the boundaries between various teams, focused on building the relationships in the teams and between the teams, communication. We want to turn them into problem solvers to remove problems for those teams, ensuring alignment to goals, focusing on the flow of value to a customer. This is a way to take those managers and to evolve the role that those managers are currently fulfilling. And it will be very, very productive in your organization. John Shook on the right led Toyota's famous joint operation with General Motors some years ago called NUMI at the time. And he talked about the use of the andon cord, which is the rope on a production line where we make cars, where you pull the cord and it stops the line if a worker sees there's a defect. And he said we needed to change behavior to change culture. If you feel the culture of your organization needs to change, the first thing we need to do is to enable behaviors to change and improve in the organization. And so using these metaphor of the andon cord to give people the psychological safety to say, stop, we're doing this wrong, is essential to enable your organization to grow.